Alright, hi guys, welcome back to another awesome video. Just kind of getting set up because I forgot to get that. Um, and I apologize that I'm a little late. Like I said last week, was a busy week. Um, things were crazy. But, of course, we are back, kind of having everything kind of get settled down a bit. Um, but yeah, I do hope I can kind of get better into a flow, better into a rhythm. Um, so we're getting there. um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started. What am I drinking? Of course, I have it in my Hufflepuff mug as I try not to spill it anywhere. And I believe this is peach tea. I don't remember. um, yeah, and I know that these videos are about 20 minutes long. That's kind of the time limit, especially for the college ones. So, yeah, so my goal is to tonight, I'm going to get this video recorded as well as get my Friday video recorded. I might as well, just because of what the time is, I might try and get another video put in just so I can start getting stuff punched out. I was actually surprised. I was kind of, right now my desk is really messing it, and so it's so hard to stay organized here. My desk, it has a lot of my class stuff for the class that I'm taking, as well as it just feels like I have so much going on. And these books that are behind my laptop do not help with that situation. Um, yeah, so I do apologize for all of kind of any craziness, especially the next couple months. I send out Christmas cards, which, by the way, if you want me to send you a card, I know I have people that watch, but if you want me to send you a card, shoot me an email. I think my email is linked. If it's not, somebody just put in the comments, hey, your email, I couldn't find your email, blah, blah, blah. And I'll send you one, or we can figure something out. For me, that's one of the biggest things, and I send cards internationally. I send stuff all over the United States. So yeah, I do enjoy it. So let's go ahead and have a drink, and we'll get started. So good. So today I am doing Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway. I can't remember if I've done another book by Virginia Woolf. I do greatly enjoy Virginia Woolf. Um, so yeah. Um, I think that for me, I did. I reviewed this for my book of the year book. I'm happy I did. Like, this is a very, very good book. Honestly, it is. Um, she has another book, and I wish I would remember. Um, Even what it is. It escapes me, which really annoys me. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Um, I know I read it for college, which means basically nothing, just because of how everything is. But yeah, this is a really awesome book. So we meet Mrs. Dalloway, um, as well as a variety of other characters. There's really two timelines that are going on. We meet Mrs. Dalloway, her group of people. Uh, Let me also preface this. This book takes place post World War One, post World War One. So it's basically kind of this moment of restructuring of English lifestyle. It takes place in England, in London, I believe. So there's so much change and so much that's going on in this time. So we have kind of, like I said, there's a shift in the dynamic. It's also very much a upper class, like high class viewpoint of what society is like. There's kind of this moment where everybody's kind of dealing with the results of World War I, um, as well as we are seeing some involvement from um, what World War I looks like. I do wish that I prepped this a little bit more. I sometimes suffer when I'm making these videos, especially with how old some of them are. My biggest struggle is remembering characters, especially this far out. Um, yeah, and I mean, I've finished other books, and I've not finished any books since I started hopping back on here, and so I should be wary, but here I am. So we have Mrs. Dalloway. Um, there's another character. I want to say Bradford. I apologize. Septimus, that's who it is. Um, so we have these two. We have Septimus as well as we have Mrs. Dalloway. So these two characters are who is revolving around the main focus of this entire thing. So Mrs. Dalloway is kind of this person that is observing the world around her, trying to kind of make sense of everything. Um, and she's finding her way mostly by means of fumbling around. She's kind of had much of life handed to her. She's going to these parties and things. While, and she very much was only seeing the results of the war through people around her. This is World War I, so not a whole lot of stuff like the bombing raids that we see in World War II. There's not a whole lot of that. Um, but then we have Septimus, who is coming back from the war. He's suffering from, at the time, would have been kind of viewed as shell shock. I don't think it would have been viewed at. Oh, apologize. I don't think it would have been viewed quite like PTSD. It kind of wasn't in the vernacular. And he's dealing with everything from the war. He fought in the war. He was in France trying to deal with the Germans. And so there's so much that's simply going on in this situation about what should happen, what should be done. And that's kind of, we see these characters, I remember we made a model, and everything happens within like 4 or 5 streets. Um, and it's all, very small area. Like, probably if you would take a mile walk, you would go a quarter mile, quarter mile, quarter mile, quarter mile. Oh, excuse me. That you would probably have the area that this all takes place, and um, sadly, and I don't know how many people have read this book, so I don't want to take a whole lot of spoilers away, just because I had never read this book before, and um, and I when we read it in class, it was a similar thing. Not a whole lot of people had read it, which surprises me just because of how good of a book it is. Um, so I don't know. I also think it was kind of interesting. The previous owner, I get all of mine online, had written, I guess that they either had a class or something. And so I not only do I have like my notes in here, like let me find a good one. Like I have like this. but there's also some highlighting. You kind of can see it, maybe a little bit, but there's also actual like other people's notes, what other people were thinking. Especially early on in the book, there's a whole lot more of it than what there is closer to the back. And so it's very, very much this interesting dynamic. And I think for me, one of the most touching and standoutish moments of this book um, was this scene where Mrs. Dalloway is looking out the window. It's nighttime. It happens just after a major incident has happened um, where somebody had died. And there's like it's very strange because we see this kind of thing where people feel that this is an inconvenience and all this stuff, as well as there's questions going around, because somebody, had died, and the manner of their death. There's all these questions about, how could this happen? Well, there's all these questions, especially somebody, of high society, kind of this idea that because we're in high society, nothing can happen to us. We're living post this horrible war, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And we have Mrs. Dalloway. She's looking out this window at, and she sees this old lady and she has this candle. And we see her walking around with this candle. And there's then this moment where the candle goes out. And there's so much symbolism and there's so much emphasis on it. Um, I should have found it. I should have. But here we are, I guess. Yes. Uh, I apologize. I should be more organized about these. Uh, anyway, I'm gonna try to be a bit better for some of the other ones. The college ones are harder just because of how long ago I read them, as well as some of them I really could care less. Um, just because they were college books, I wasn't all that interested, and here we are. But this one I really did, and I wish I remembered more of it. So, in the way that I remembered more, in the like I could find pages or whatever, um, quicker than what I am now. Um, there is a Bradshaw and all these things. So yeah, I did lie. It's not Septimus. Um, Bradshaw is the other character. But here's one of the interesting things. Like I had said, is this quote: "A young man had killed himself, and they talking of it at her party, the Bradshaws talking about death." I was wrong. So it is Septimus who's the other character. I kept getting these characters confused. That the Bradshaws are talking about this death. Um, he had killed himself, but how always her body went, and all these things. And it's asking all these questions, and it's like so much of a centric view on death, about other people, about, all these things. And it's very much an inconvenience thing. And that's, I think, what so much of this thing is that the people that are forgotten versus the people that are existing in this world versus the people that are dealing with the war. Like, there's so much going on, and we have, Virginia Woolf very well depicting people like Dalloway, who is looking out just like, how dare you? Like, this kind of inability, which leads us to this scene where she's looking out her window and she's seeing somebody, this old lady, put out her candle and basically being shrouded in darkness. So it's this moment where the society is evaluating how everything is working simply as eventually you're going to be snuffed out. The changes are coming. Of course, we also have the understanding that World War II will be far off, and so stuff will happen. And that one day you're going to be the ones that are left behind. You're going to be the ones that are shrouded in darkness, and that the ignorance of other people, especially, the stuff like uh, civilization, all these things, this idea of, creating the us and them kind of thing, a post-colonial viewpoint, or would have a very good field day with this, just because of the situation and all these things. But yeah, I do recommend this book if you ever get a chance to get it. It's an awesome book. I love it. Um, I'm actually going to put it in with this collection, my books that I'm going to read, simply because I want to read it again. It's a fairly easy read. It's about 200 pages. Um, so yeah, it's a pretty good book, and hopefully, if you get a chance to check it out, I hope you like it too. So once again, I apologize for just how crazy this video is, how bouncy and jumping around that I am, that I'm not very well staying to it. And hopefully, as I start to bang out some of these books, it'll get easier. Um, so yeah. But that's everything. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope you are filled with peace, love, and joy.